In light of the tuition increase, let's take a look at what you are paying for. What kind of world-class education can you expect to get? And I want to start with this viewer comment from episode 5. The viewer says that ZooSom suspended class for 2 whole days to shoot a promotional video. They also forced students to attend a 6-hour session on a Saturday to finish this promotional video. That was right before some big exams, so they had to give up their study time for that crap. You all, when you give them your tuition money, you are not paying them to educate you. You are paying for the opportunity to help them make more and more money. Our viewer also went on to say, Bhuplapur liked to rent his university. I think you mean the word shopping mall there, to host bullshit events from other companies. One time, a company promoting ozone therapy rented ZooSom's facility. Part of the deal was that Bhuplapur would provide all of ZooSom's students as attendees, so they would give the impression that the conference was well attended and ozone is a legitimate therapy. Bhuplapur bought lunch for the real attendees, and food was present in the hall where everyone was, but students were not allowed to eat it. Okay? Because y'all, if you give this man $13,000 a semester, do not expect him to give you a free sandwich. Okay? When you pay your tuition is for the honor of sitting in that room and starving. Now, here's the hilarious part about the viewer comment. This ozone conference at Xavier is on the internet. Y'all, we have video evidence, and it will blow your mind. Before we look at the ZooSom video, I just want to point out the US Food and Drug Administration's memo about ozone therapy. And it clearly says, ozone is a toxic gas. No known useful medical application. And for it to actually work, it would have to be at such a high level that, it would kill a living creature. So I'm sure that this conference had to begin with some kind of disclaimer, some kind of announcement about the FDA warning. Nope. Here's what they had to say about ozone instead.
It's amazing what it can do it. For infections, it's amazing. For wounds, for detoxification, for HIV, for sports medicine. It's
amazing. Apparently, not everyone got the memo from the FDA. Instead, we are just going to teach the Xavier students to administer toxic gas to everyone for just about everything. Now, our next presenter did give a disclaimer. Hey, look, it even says disclaimer up at the top of the slide. His disclaimer was, science sucks. Okay, so he's going to let us know he is not a scientist. He is not a researcher. Oh, and apparently he's not a copy editor either, because these commas outside of the quote marks are really, really bothering me. So we're not going to do any empirically supported treatments for the ZooSom students. And look how he puts scientist and researcher in quote marks, like to mock the idea of using science in medicine. But he is a clinician, although he would probably be a better clinician if he learned how to use the literature to make treatment decisions. Okay. So we're not done yet. We had a whole list of speakers. Our next speaker educated us on the topic of you thought that your dog's poop was a waste. Okay, so literally, she's giving a talk on eating dog shit. Okay, so, initially, I was sad that they starved you all during that conference, but now that I think about it, it's probably better that they kept you away from whatever sloppy joes they were serving there. So here's a tip for when you take your USMLE. If the question asked you about what treatment to use, eating dog shit is not going to be the right answer. Don't put it, don't mark it. Which, by the way, that advice I just gave you is definitely much more useful than any USMLE tip that Xavier will give you when you're on the LOA. Now, in case anyone is inspired to eat their dog shit or insert their dog shit up their ass with an enema, just want to give you a heads up, after she spoke here, the US FDA issued a warning that basically says, please don't eat dog shit. It's not an effective treatment. It can actually hurt you. So, well, now that that's all clear, let's see if anyone here at this conference can help us explain ozone therapy more clearly. Because right now, y'all, I have figured out what this therapy is about. So let's see what he can coherently tell us.
Charge is applied to it, emits these wavelengths. The reason why we use these is because we say we upregulate NAD and NADH. NAD's wavelength, absorption wavelength, is 340. NADH is 365. What happens?
I'm lost. Does anyone know what he's talking about? I don't know. Maybe his slides can help us better understand. Let's see. We start off with a very long definition of misinformation and fake news. Let's all take a moment to honor the irony of that. And then this whole next wordy paragraph talks about, let's see, low power devices, the Russian Isolda, the research homework, the knot machine. And as Paul Harvey has said, and now the rest of the show. Wow. Wow. I gotta say, I've never been to a professional conference where I heard wording like that. Wow. Now, just to clarify, they don't have the entire conference on the internet. All they have in this video is like 5 minutes of highlights. So these are the highlights, you all. This is the best of the best at that conference. And I gotta say, like, it was quite amusing watching this for 5 minutes, but my thoughts go out to all of the students who were forced to sit there starving for hours listening to this. Wow. So I just gotta say, the most inspiring presenter at this entire Ozone conference was this guy. And I loved his presentation because you can tell he was dressed for the beach. So hopefully, I have this fantasy that at some point he just dropped the mic and ran off to Eagle Beach and took all of those poor students with him.